Today on Talking Solutions, animals and the 80s hairball. Pam and Sam, your names work together just beautifully. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You want to tell me what's going on as far as the 80s hairball? It's a benefit, of course, for animals.
That's right. The 80's Hairball is a fundraiser for animal rescue, benefiting two rescues in town, the Churchill Foundation and the Vegas Shepherd Rescue.
I'm familiar with both of those groups. Coming up Friday the 24th.
24th.
Bootlegger Bistro over on South Las Vegas Boulevard. That's a great place.
Yeah, it's called the Casa de Copa Room is where we're having it at. It's a private room, holds 297 people.
So we need to fill that up.
We need to fill
Yes,
it.
we do. Yes, we want to fill that
So
up.
if somebody wants to come over and help this 80s hairball raise as much money as possible, is there an entrance fee? How do people get involved?
The website is the 80shairball.com, and they can pick up a ticket straight from the website, or they can sponsor with us. And our sponsorships start at $25. They go up to $1,000. So it fits anybody's budget. That's the main way that we can actually help, because these rescues are just funded solely on donations. And without those donations, they can't do surgeries, they can't pull animals from the local shelter. So they really, really need money.
I don't think people understand how expensive their cost is.
No.
Us
Surprising.
having 3 dogs.
And 3 healthy dogs. And you're still spending money on that, you know. So when it comes to these rescues who do take some of those really difficult cases, and it's going to require a $2,000 surgery, and then they've got to find a foster, and it's just so much expense. That's why a lot of these rescues struggle. They would love to pull more animals, but we just can't. We don't have the funding, you know.
Well, I know I'm on the board of a cat charity here in town, the Poppy Foundation, and people don't realize when you've got animals who are not at 100% health, you are dealing with things, as you mentioned, surgeries. When you get lab tests, those are extremely expensive. Also, a lot of times they're on medications, just like people.
That's right. And they're not cheap.
No.
None of that's cheap.
Well, our most recent rescue had a little hairball knot behind his ear, and we thought it was, something bad, and we took him in, and it was a $200 dreadlock that we had removed.
We're going to take them to the hairdressers.
It just adds up.
When you care about animals, and I know I had a cat who came up to my patio, and the most expensive free cat ever in the history of the world, because I was worried about him one Sunday when all the vet offices were closed, and I took him over to emergency, and I was worried because he couldn't exactly eliminate in the box, and he kept showing me over and over again. He was trying. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's something wrong. $900 later.
And like you say, out of hours services, and it happens a lot, and you have no choice when you've got to help them.
We've had a problem here in Las Vegas as far as too many pets.
That's right.
We've got the ordinances all the way across the county in all of the different jurisdictions. People need to spay and neuter their animals, but it takes time for that big bell curve to come down and for the number of animals who end up in the local shelter.
That's right.
Who are in danger of being euthanized, who don't all find homes. I know especially we've had a lot of problems with extra pit bulls because they have bad press.
Yeah, it doesn't work in their favor, and it makes it very, very difficult.
And
really
Chihuahuas, too.
Chihuahuas,
That's our 2 main groups.
That's
but
right.
the groups that you're talking about as well, Vegas Shepherd Rescue, great organization. I'm familiar also with the Churchill Foundation, and you can help a lot of animals with this event.
Oh, my gosh. We really,
Well,
really
we
can.
try to do, every time we do an event, we did a big golf tournament last year, and we do another one this fall. We try to pick at least 2 to 4 charities to help out, to spread the love as much as possible.
And it really does make a difference.
The only way we're going to fix this issue is we all work together.
That's right. And I think the message, you can never get the message out enough. Sometimes you just think you're repeating yourself, which you are. And you think the people that you repeat yourself to know, but there's always that one person that go, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know you had to spay neuter. I didn't know it was a law. I didn't know you had to do this, So just have to keep repeating ourselves.
So I'm okay with saying that until it actually kicks in and works.
Yeah.
I don't ever see the problem going away 100%,
No.
but we can make a huge dent by working together.
That's right. And like you say, just dispelling the myths about pit bulls and those kind of things, showing people that they're not a horrible dog, not a horrible breed, because people would be more open to adopting them.
People know that my main thing with charities is any kind of a person or animal who is, as I described, at our mercy. Children, animals can't do or say for themselves.
That's right.
So we have to step up and help them. Now, this 80s Hairball, which is a big fundraiser, this sounds like a good time. Next Friday night, the 24th, the Bootlegger Bistro.
Yeah, it's called the
on-
Casa de Copa, and it's right next door. It's a fabulous room, and a lot of people have not seen it. It's got a great stage, it's got booths in there, it's got a bar in there, and the decor's great. It's perfect for
And
us.
also we have Cyanide playing, if you're familiar with them. They do a lot of Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Van Halen cover. They have their own album, of course, but they do a lot of cover tunes, and it was the perfect band.
Yeah.
And they said they would do it. We were like, what? They're going to do it? It matched the theme, the Skid Row, Guns N' Roses.
And they said they're going to take us
80s.
back to specifically 1987.
Yes.
Okay.
It was a good year.
Yeah.
All right.
I graduated high school that year.
It was a good year, like I said.
I was around. I don't remember it, so obviously it was a good year.
With that ticket, they get food, and people know the food's good at the Bootlegger. They get to see a live band. We're going to have a red carpet, of course. We're going to have a photo video booth that will upload the photos photos and videos real time to our social media.
Nice.
So that should be fun watching some of that towards the end of the night.
Right.
And we have a fantastic auction and raffle and an amazing swag bag.
Yeah,
that we
like
give
the
away.
bag that you just have. We bought multiple colors of different ones, and we fill them with all kinds of great stuff that people donated and that
Yeah.
we've donated to the bags too. So the bags are worth, gosh, at least 100, right?
Yeah,
They
our last
are
swag bag's
adorable.
worth 150. I mean, which is 3 times more than the ticket was. So it's a great value for the ticket, and of course, you're helping rescues. That's really
Great.
important.
We'll put a picture of this because you know that this interview
great.
is going to be up on our Talking Solutions Facebook page. So we'll make
She
sure
got a
it says,
Shrimpy Doodle bag. Looks like Shrimpy got a hold of that one.
it says pick a rescue dog. Yeah.
Shrimpy customized it for you.
Well, yes, there's a
I don't know
little,
what happened.
maybe a little nibbling on the handle, but
I have a huge box full of them, and the first one I grab, I didn't even notice, and then it's like the handle's chewed by my dog. It's
one of a kind.
special. It's autographed. It's okay. It's lovely.
From Shrimpy Doodle. Ridiculous.
You mentioned the stage at the Casa de
Yes.
Copa Room right there next to the Bootlegger Bistro on South Las Vegas Boulevard. The group Cyanide's going to come and play, specifically music from 1987. I hear.
1987, that's what they said.
That was the year we like. We think we remember we liked that year, you know.
We're
Sounds
trying,
like
to,
a-
we're trying to get our outfit together.
We are. We're encouraging everybody to dress up too. You know, everybody loves to dress up. They fantasize about going back to the 80s and their Aquanet and their neon and
Yeah.
spandex. And
Yeah, we're going to have a couple photographers too, so it'll be fun.
We'll capture it all.
I have seen my pictures of the hair from the 80s. That's the part I'm not real sure I want to revisit.
They still sell Aquanet.
The Aquanet.
They still sell it.
Back in the day, right about then, was when I did the asymmetrical haircut. Seriously, somebody caught me on the right day, and I went, well, it will grow back. So we had the boy cut on this side, and then it sloped down on the other side to long hair on the right side, and people would look at me and go, oh, you combed your hair? Oh.
But we looked great back then, didn't we, Terry? In our minds, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam has great eyeshadow
Oh,
photos.
it's.
I thought she was in a play. That was going out. I was like,
People were
oh.
asking me, is that stage makeup? No, that's what I wore in the daytime, yeah. The
wanna
eyeshadow
read-
that touched my ears almost.
You can relive the 80s Friday night at the Bootlegger Bistro at the Casa de Copa Room right next door at the 80s Hairball. There's going to be music. There's going to be food. I want to hear about these raffles because I heard some inside scoop that you got some autographed items and such from
Yes.
bands that were big back in the day.
Yeah, we have an autographed guitar from Slash is the big ticket item.
He is so good.
That's a reason to come alone.
Yeah.
Just for
Right.
that.
And then there's a few 8x10s that we have autographed. We were getting ready to get them all together. And
We have a
pulling
lot.
out.
I mean,
yeah.
and we'll split it up, and basically it's a mixture of rock and roll stuff and stuff.
So
Perfect.
yeah, so it'll be like a bunch of doggy stuff that you can bid on, and
Yeah.
then rock and roll.
It works
Rockin' for
together.
rescues.
They
That's
do.
what- yeah.
I like both of them. Who doesn't?
Right, it's the best combo.
Well, everybody's loving reliving the 80s these days. It is the thing to do. So
This
you got
shirt
the
is
80s,
80s.
Hairball.
I'm already ready. I got my
shoulder out
It's got the
there.
shoulder out there. All I need is to tease my hair, put Sam's eyeliner on, and I'm good.
Leg warmers. I'm just saying. Flash dance, babe.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, that'd be a great outfit.
We need a bucket of water and a chair.
Maybe we can get Eddie to do that. Eddie can dress up like Flash
There
Dancer.
you go. Oh, I want to see you in a leotard.
She's a maniac on the floor.
Oh, and we're also having an air guitar playing contest.
Oh, yeah,
too.
which is sponsored by Studio Center.
Yeah.
They were nice enough to do that.
Oh, this sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So it starts when? Next Friday night.
7 to 10 p.m.
At the Copa Room right next to the Bootlegger Bistro on South Las Vegas Boulevard. It's the 80s Hairball. Going to raise all kinds of money for a couple of great dog charities here in town. Get in on it. Information on the website,
80shairball.com.
80shairball.com. It's going to be a great time.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna. What did we drink back in the 80s? Wine coolers.
Everything.
Farm? Azima? I can't remember.
Kamikaze.
That's what Pam and I'll be drinking because we haven't slept for 5 weeks.
Yeah, we'll be stressed.
We're gonna need that drink, aren't we?
Takes a lot of work to set out a big
does.
event like the 80s Hairball. It sounds like a great time. We sure appreciate you ladies coming in.
Oh, we appreciate
Pam
you.
and Sam filling us in on what's coming up next Friday night. 80shairball.com. Go. Always stuff going on here in Las Vegas. I know Friday night, of course, we were talking about the 80s Hairball. Saturday, great family event. Lynda Taché is here from the Grant a Gift for Autism Foundation. Would you share the story, how your group got its name?
My son's name is Grant, so he's the inspiration. So we just thought if you grant someone a gift can be anything.
Everybody has something in life that they have to deal with. It's how you face it, how you go forward.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's not positive stuff at the front, but then you find out maybe
in
because
hindsight.
this has been put on your plate, as you get on into it, you go, it's not what I'd choose.
Right?
It changes my perspective.
Yes.
but it's okay.
You know, Terry, you're absolutely right. Sometimes when we have challenges, they don't seem like a gift at the time. And I think that's what drives my passion so much, is that I had so many struggles in the beginning getting answers, you know, what his challenges were. And there weren't the services here in Nevada to help us. So the doctor, I'd ask the pediatrician questions. And this is still common today, where families will have questions on their child's development or behaviors, and the doctors still need the education. And they say, oh, he's a boy, he'll outgrow it, because it's mostly boys.
Yes, I do see that.
So I think that's exactly to your point. Now I see it as a blessing. It's a way that I can help other families, and it's actually a healing process for me.
I like your attitude on that.
Thank you.
That's how I feel about MS. I deal with it. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt, no question, but it does change your perspective. It gets your priorities in order really fast. And it changes the way that you approach life from there forward. And to be able to share your knowledge and your passion, spreading awareness about autism, think of all the people that you will assist as you go down the road. And already have, I'm sure.
That's wonderful.
We are talking with Lynda Taché, the founder and the executive director. I love your logo, the Grant a Gift Autism Foundation. We will have all these links, by the way, if you want to see the logo and everything. Make sure to look at our Talking Solutions Facebook page. We've got it there. We'll have the links. We will have the interview also available so you can listen to it on our podcast. All of that so you can get involved. We've got an event coming up. Rick and Chris from 1027 The Coyote are going to host it. It's the 5K Autism Race for Hope and a fun walk, and it's happening. What a beautiful place.
Yes.
Town Square on Saturday, April 25th, part of Autism Awareness Month.
Yep, that's perfect timing.
So you got involved in autism awareness activities and all of this because your son Grant has autism, has been diagnosed.
Yes.
It seems like autism just wasn't really on the landscape. People didn't talk about it. They didn't know about it years ago. But that's one of the reasons why autism awareness is so important. We try to give parents clues for their young children. Newborns, toddlers, 3-4 years old. From what I understand, the sooner you can diagnose autism, the more impact you can make.
Absolutely. Because it's a neurodevelopmental disorder, the younger the child is diagnosed, the greater recovery or outcomes that child will have, regardless of their potential. Because there's a whole spectrum, and some children have a higher functioning level than others, but still, the earlier they're diagnosed, the more recovery and potential, and the chance for them to be mainstreamed in the school system, to have neurotypical friends, to actually be independent someday. You're right, half the battle is the awareness of really what is it. And I think the challenge that we face as families is that there's no physical appearance to it. So a lot of times people will look at a child and say, oh, they're behaving badly, or they're tantruming. Can't you control your child? Those are comments that we get. So I think that's the challenge sometimes with this disorder, is that there's no physical attributes. And so it's really hard to put your finger on what it is.
Your child is just not acting normal. Well, what is normal?
Right.
Come on.
I know, right? I know. That's the big question. Exactly.
Well, being in this business, none of us in this building, all joking aside, none of us are normal. But I think when you have a young child, in a lot of cases it will be a first child, and you haven't gone through the whole child rearing kind of experience before, and you wonder, why is my baby not talking? Why is my baby not making eye contact? Why is my baby different than what I was told to expect?
Right.
These are some of the common signs, right?
Exactly. And I always tell families, you're the parent. You have to follow your gut. I was exactly that example you just said. This was my first child. I had no nieces and nephews. I didn't know what to compare it to. All I know is I knew something wasn't right. My friends were having babies and my son wasn't interacting. We thought he had a hearing problem. He would obsess on certain toys, and then he didn't have eye contact. So this was as young as 6 months old. Doctors can actually assess children as young as even 12 months old. So what I tell families is, even if the doctor or some professional says, oh, you're overreacting, you know, he's fine or she's fine, don't stop there. I did, and it delayed my son getting a diagnosis for years. He would be probably so much further ahead, but I believe everything happens for a reason. That's why I'm so passionate. One of the things I do want to throw out there is that the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, has some great milestone tools. Families can just go online to the CDC and then type in autism, and they can see the milestones of development as young as 6 months old.
Interesting.
And that's kind of proof to say, no, something is not right. I don't know if everyone's everyone's aware of this, but the prevalence now is 1 in 68.
And just a few years back, it was 1 in 120 something. I mean, the numbers keep seeming to rise.
Yeah.
And that makes you puzzled and saying, are we having a bigger incidence of autism, or are we just getting better at pegging it and identifying that's autism?
Yes. Great question. I get that all the time. And it's a combination of both. They know that because of the greater detection and awareness and education, they are diagnosing more children. But they do believe that there is some other environmental and genetic factor. It runs in my family. My first cousin's son has autism, and my third cousin's twins, and they're 20. I didn't even know this until my son was diagnosed, and then we all started talking, because we live all over the country. But yeah, definitely the researchers believe that there is some increase, and they don't know what the environmental impact is or genetic impact as well. So,
might be a combination.
Exactly.
These days, now that we understand the genetic code so well, and they're able to diagnose and specifically target a gene and a deviation and some kind of alteration in a gene that makes something more likely, they may find that there is a genetic kind of tie to that. But also, I do wonder about environmental. I myself am always suspicious about different foods and this and that. And so I'm very much into preparing our own very natural foods so that I can kind of stay away from a lot of that.
This is my own personal thought, but if you think about the meat, the chicken and beef and everything we eat, they ingest them with hormones, steroids. If we are eating that and ingesting that, it has to have some impact, I'm thinking.
It could. I mean, I would not rule that out. If you want to be very, very careful and protective, I just pull myself away from all of that and say, I'm not going to deal with that. I interviewed a holistic type doctor. Gosh, this was 15 years ago. So I've been talking about these kind of topics forever. He was very concerned about artificial colors added to foods, and then you give them to children and they're bright berry blue or they're orange or red. He says, I know that they say that those are safe. He says, but let's throw this out there. Let's go 30 years into the future, and let's also talk about the fact that that individual product may be safe, but what about all the products combined that make up the diet of a child? And over a number of years, that one product may be safe, but how does it interact with all the other stuff?
Yeah, there's so many unknowns about that. Processed foods, everything. There has to be some chemical reactions in that.
Yeah, I know. We're noticing that the numbers for autism now are 1 in 68. That number just seems to be increasing. The possibility that a child, in most cases, male. And why is it boys who are more affected by autism?
Great question. There's so many studies out there. One study I came across said it had something to do with chromosomes, I guess. Is it XY and XX, that maybe the X might be the affected one because boys have 2 X's. Don't quote me on that. But there's been just so many different theories. And I think that's what the whole craziness of all this is that we just don't know. There's so many very qualified, wonderful researchers out there. And one time a researcher said it's like a combination with infinity. There's just so many different roads that they try to look at, but it doesn't come to one certain path. There's all different theories out there.
So many variations.
Variations, exactly.
Just like with autism, with every child and every family who are affected, it's different for every child.
They're unique. Some have speech challenges, others have the behavior, but they're so unique.
That's why we refer to it as the autism spectrum disorder, because kids fall within this range. They're all different. On Talking Solutions, Lynda Taché, the founder and executive director of Grant a Gift Autism Foundation. Maybe someday through research they'll find out that we have an environmental tie, or the reason why boys get it more than girls is related to their chromosomes. There's a lot of things to speculate on. They're all interesting, makes good coffee conversation. However, the bottom line is, time's wasting.
Yes.
And all of these things that we might find out more about down the road, that in itself will be exciting. But the fact is, we've got kids who are growing one day older all the time. And time and getting this taken care of and diagnosed quickly is key to having them be able to function better in society and just overall. So even though all of those interesting things we'll find out down the road, that doesn't help us with the child today who has autism.
Exactly. And I'm one of those people that has a son going on 14 years old.
Are you kidding?
And he has done tremendously well because of finally finally getting him the diagnosis at 5.5 and the early intervention and the treatments that he is mainstreamed. So he's in regular ed class, and because of all the different therapies and interventions that we were able to give him, he's doing amazing. So there is hope. That's what we try to tell families. There is hope. And one of the programs that we have is called Find My Way Navigation Program. So I think that's the biggest challenge that families are facing. Let's say they do get the diagnosis. Then what? That's the first step.
Yeah, where do I go now?
Then what? So it's almost sometimes worse not knowing what to do next. Like, you know that there's a challenge, but then what? So we have a full-time social worker and other interventionists on staff that actually take emails, calls from any family. It's a free program. If they have questions on anything, what treatment programs are out there, what support groups are out there, what programs do we offer? If we can't help them with our current programs, where else can they go? What funding sources are out there? There are state-funded programs that families can get on the waiting list and get funds for this type of treatment. And we were actually a recipient of that a few years ago. Like I told you, the outcomes. My son now is mainstream. So I think that's the biggest key, is guiding these families, holding their hand, helping them not feel so isolated because people don't understand. There were years like we went through where friends didn't want to invite us over anymore because Grant, his behavior and everything just was out of control. It is an isolating condition, but there's so many families out there that they're not alone, and we want them to understand that there is hope.
Some numbers here. There are more than 7,000 families in the state who are affected by autism somewhere in their family, and the state is only able to cover 10%.
Yes. The treatment's so intense, and there's so many treatments that have to happen that the cost is very high. It can cost a family anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 a year between behavior therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and other appointments and stuff. So the state, and I was part of this, before I started Grant to Gift, I got involved on the policy sides. In 2007, I worked with Jan Crandy, and at the time, Dawn Gibbons was the first lady of Nevada. Very dear friend of mine. We all worked together, and with other professionals and parents. I was a parent, and we actually got the state funding, and it's called the Autism Treatment Assistance Program. But unfortunately, our budget only has so much money in it, the state budget.
Well, yeah, we hear about that all the time.
So I guess the moral of the story is that the state isn't able to cover everything. So that was one of the reasons we started Grant to Gift, to not only help fill in that gap, but also to work with other nonprofits and state agencies that serve autism so that we can all collaborate together to build that capacity. So we're all chipping away at that number, and that 7,000 is actually the documented cases. So that number probably doesn't reflect the true number. If you did the 1 in 68, according to the population we have between 0 and 19 in Nevada, there would probably be closer to 11,000 if we were close to that 1 in 68. There's so many families, and we just have to keep working on it every day.
Well, you've got the Grant to Gift Autism Foundation. You created it, you're running it. We do hear about other groups also who are trying to step up and do something to heighten the awareness on autism. By the way, April is Autism Awareness Month. Some of the steps that we've already mentioned, the CDC website, they'll give you some benchmarks, different milestones for children that are kind of expected that may lead you to your pediatrician.
Absolutely.
Because the earlier diagnosis is so important.
Yes, it really is. And there's some other state resources that we direct families to. Nevada Early Intervention Services, that's a federally funded program in every state. That's children from 0 to 3 years old. So that's another resource that they can call to get an assessment for free and even some services. And then if they're 3 years old or older, they can go through the school district. It's called Child Find. That's another resource. And all these resources we just listed can all be found on our website.
Grant to Gift, autismfoundation.org.
Yes.
I hear that the divorce rate is crazy with families who have a diagnosis of autism in their household. It's like 85%.
You're absolutely right. And I'm a statistic.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
A statistic. When your child is diagnosed with something, any illness or disability, there's actually a grieving process that you go through, because all the hopes and dreams that you had for your children, you know, dating, playing, going to prom, driving, going to college, all of those ideas, you feel like that's not going to happen. It's almost like the expectation you have for your child, there's a death process. So what happens is that everybody grieves differently. I know with my family, that was the case. I was on a different grieving level than my, at the time, husband, Grant's dad. That created a wall between us. And finally, it just ended in divorce. And, I think it's between that and also the financial pressures. So there's financial and emotional pressures that come with a child that has autism or other developmental disabilities. They don't understand or know how to cope. So it ends up in divorce. And that's a service that we'll be adding down the road, is we definitely want to address family issues. So the child, that's just the pebble in the pond, right? Even siblings. A lot of people don't know siblings also face their own challenges. They feel like this false sense of responsibility towards their brother or sister, that they have to take care of them. Or sometimes they're ignored because of all the intense attention that has to be on the child that has autism. And then they feel like maybe they can't talk to their parents about it. So we have a sibling support group, and it's free, and we switch it off. We'll do like a workshop, then the next month they go out and have fun. And it's so funny because the families will ask us, oh, can the brother or sister with autism come? And we're like, actually, this is for the siblings.
Right. We need to celebrate them on their own.
Absolutely. And even the grandparent generation, there's a whole disconnect of what is going on. My father at the time, when we were going through this, thought Grant was spoiled, that I was spoiling him, and that's why he's behaving like that. But then he understood once we got the diagnosis. The other part is we'd like to start a grandparent group.
The 5K Autism Race for Hope and Fun Walk is at Town Square, Saturday, April 25th, not far away.
Yes.
What a beautiful place to walk.
You can't go wrong there. It's just so family friendly. They have the playground. It's just such a neat place, and we've loved having it there, and they are so wonderful. We have a family resource fair and a kids zone, so parents, bring your kids out, even if for whatever reason you aren't able to register.
It's going to be a lot of fun. A 5K, we can do that. On the lineup of things that you've got. 7 o'clock, starting bright and early.
Yep.
That's where I have the coffee in my hand.
Me too.
Registration in the Autism Family Resource Fair. So as we become more knowledgeable about autism, as we have more diagnosed cases, it seems like there's somebody in everybody's family who has a child with autism. Mm-hmm. So even though if we are fortunate enough, it's not happening to my child, it's happening to someone in my extended family, it's happening with one of my friends and their children, it's somebody that you're going to encounter or interact with their family. So to know about autism, even though you are blessed and you are not experiencing it personally in your household, to know about it and to know how to interact with other families and other people who do deal with autism.
Yes. That is a great point. Your children will go to school, no doubt, with children that have autism.
Of course.
And one of the other challenges is that a lot of the adults that have autism are unemployed, again, because of that lack of understanding on the employer standpoint. So the more educated that we as adults get on it, maybe we can work better with our coworkers in the workplace that may be affected by autism as well.
Your son, Grant, who is now how old?
He's 13. He'll be 14 in a couple months. So he's going into high school. Oh, my gosh.
And he's mainstreamed. He's in regular education courses.
Yes.
That's exciting.
He's doing really, really well. He still has some struggles, and we still have the individual education plan, but he is mainstreamed. And that was our whole hope and goal and wish, is that by high school. And it actually happened in middle school. So we've been very blessed. And I do have to give a shout out to Grant's middle school, Lawrence Junior High. They've been very, very supportive through all of this process and working with him and the teachers, and he's just thrived. So I just want to say to all the teachers and principals and everything out there, please don't give up on anyone, and inclusion. And it even helps the children that, like you said, aren't affected by it. They better understanding. So but he's doing good.
For us all to know more about autism.
Yes.
So that we can maximize that one-on-one experience of knowing someone who deals with it. Yeah. So that I know how to treat them kindly and with respect.
Just have compassion.
Yes, like kindness.
Kindness and acceptance. I feel so lucky. I actually feel lucky that I've gone through this and have had Grant, and he's such a gift. These children are gifts.
Lynda Taché, the founder and executive director of the Grant a Gift Autism Foundation. And we've got a great event coming up on Saturday, April 25th at Town Square, hosted by Rick and Chris, our morning show from 102.7 The Coyote. The 5K Autism Race for Hope and Fun Walk. There is an Autism Family Resource Fair. Learn more about the science of autism. Learn more about the people who are affected by autism.
We really, really would love to see you out there. We need your support. The funds that are raised for this walk actually continues our programs and services. So it's very, very important just to support us in any way. And if you can't make it, you can make a donation on our website. Go to Grant-A-Gift, autismfoundation.org. But we'd love to see you out there.
The funds that are raised by this event provide support programs. We have 7,000 known diagnosed autism cases. That many families here in Nevada are dealing with it, but the state resources being limited, as we know they all are, only can take care of about 10% of that. So most of the families who are dealing with autism don't get the support they need. Rick and Chris from our 1027 The Coyote Morning Show are coming out.
Thank you so much. I thank everybody for all their support on this event.
The Autism 5K Race for Hope and Fun Walk, Town Square, Saturday, April 25th.
Grant-A-Gift, autismfoundation.org.
Lynda Taché is the founder and executive director of the Grant-A-Gift Autism Foundation. Thanks for coming in to join us today on Talking Solutions.
My pleasure. Thank you, Terry, for having us.
Talking Solutions is a production of the Community Relations Department here at Beasley Media Group, Las Vegas. Get more information on today's topic on our Talking Solutions page on Facebook, where you will also find links and a podcast of today's show. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.